Hey up, it's Klye here. Death Stranding is a gorgeous and complex game. Its themes are very high concept and deal with a combination of scientific and spiritual ideas. But I'm thick. I don't understand anything that happens. I just know that you can turn your own poo into grenades. Another thing I know is that the game is about connecting people together. And with that, the game allows you to go online and gift things to other players. Buildings, items, signs, things that other people have created will also appear in your world, all without ever having to actually interact with the person who made them, which is my preferred method of human contact. But that does make me wonder, can you beat Death Stranding using only online items? Just for fun, I'll be playing this on the Wii version. Barring the scanner and physical assault, the only things that we're allowed to use are things that other people have made. We're not allowed to craft or build anything of our own, or use things that the game or NPCs have provided. The things we use must originate from a green icon, which means they were made online. Absolutely everything we use has to come from other players. Now, technically, we could find an online PCC, which is a little box that lets you build things. However, you do have to select which thing you want to build with that PCC, and I think at that point it's kind of just down to my choice and not what other people have left. Yeah, I know the PCC was given to us by an online person, so realistically we should be able to do with it as we see fit, because it does fall within the remit of online only. But this is a challenge run in it, so let's try and have some semblance of challenge. The way we're going to keep track of this challenge is by using the trophy tracker on the PlayStation 5. At most, the trophy Master Builder can only say 3 out of 13. You can put down signs and they're basically just for fun. They can have special effects depending on which ones you pick, but they only work for other players and they don't work for us. Ladders and climbing anchors are tools that other people can give to us, and if we use them, it counts as us building them, even though technically they're already built. Everything else requires that PCC I was talking about, so 3 is our maximum. The big one is Homo Faber. This is for fabricating all 108 items in the game, but we're not allowed to do any fabrication whatsoever, so this has to stay at 0. No Homo Faber. Right then, let's start the game. After the introduction, where Fragile chats to us and offers us a crypto biote to eat, I do kinda wonder what they taste like. Fragile seems to love them, so I assume they taste really good, but I don't know if I could handle their feet wiggling on my tongue. Anyway, our first proper mission is to deliver the president's dead body to the crematorium. It's a fantastic way to start a game. Igor, the dude who jabbed himself while floating into a BT's mouth and then turned into a bomb that killed a load of people, also a great way to start a game. He left some stuff behind for us to use, but he wasn't an online person, so I avoided him. The terrain is a little bit iffy and we are carrying a dead body, which does make things a little bit harder, but this can be done with no tools. Once the president is smoked, we get told to burn the baby as well, which implies a lot about the people we're working for, and it does make you wonder how many other BBQs have been made over the years. But we don't do that. Instead, we connect to the baby and we get jump scared by Mads Mikkelsen, which is not an unpleasant experience. He's a sexy fella. But now that we're connected to BB, we can see BTs. These are basically ghosts who try to grab you, and if you're captured by them, you have to fight a boss BT. Currently, we have no way to fight, so we need to be sneaky. If a BT knows your location, you just have to hold your breath and then give them a wide berth. Getting caught by a BT is very bad, especially this early on in the game, and while it might be tense, it's not as difficult as it seems. BTs only float around in specific areas, so you just need to leave that area and you're good. A pro tip that pretty much everyone already knows if you've played the game, but I'll tell you anyway. If you go into a BT area with no cargo, get caught on purpose and then just run away from the big BT, leave the area and it will despawn the big BT and all the other smaller ones in the area as well, which makes it safe to travel through and nothing will attack you. That does only work in free roam though. Now that we're back safe, we get promoted from corpse disposal to internet technician. Our goal is to connect everyone together onto the Klye network and bring everyone together, combining everyone's skills and resources to overcome the Death Stranding. Once we connect a place to the network, we unlock Fabrication. This is a menu that we cannot use in this challenge. But connecting also unlocks Shared Lockers. This is a place we'll become very familiar with. In here, people can post their gear for other people to use, and if anyone else's gear gets lost, it will also appear in a shared locker. But that does mean it's kinda just down to luck and the generosity of others, which is quite a deadly combination, usually. But the people who play Death Stranding are heroes. Or they just leave a load of shit behind. Because very often, there's something in a shared locker. It's not always good stuff, but beggies can't be choosies. In the first place that we connected, I found a climbing anchor from Google 8, which I'm sure will come in handy very soon. The mules start to show up now as well, and these are people who want your cargo. They won't go into BT territory and they won't follow you too far, so we're just going to have to keep our distance for now. If you open the map, you can see their range, and these guys also steal online people's cargo. When they do that, they take it to their camp and put it in their postbox. So sometimes it might be beneficial to give them the Tuco Salamanca and beat the piss out of these mule boys. Luckily for us, our first few deliveries are quite close by and the terrain isn't treacherous in any way, so we don't need any gear for this. But now that we're connecting everyone together, we can start to find online cargo and structures. Don't worry, Major Kim 98, your package is safe in my hands. I also made sure to give any of the online signs and buildings as many likes as possible. It's a trophy, so of course I'm going to do it, but I'm going to keep doing it throughout the entire playthrough. Everyone gets my thumbs, especially those who put down structures. Chef Tyrant had a really good ladder that led into a mule camp, so they got all of my thumbs up. Obviously I can't give every single thing we see a like because we'd be here for years, but I try to make sure that I at least give every building as many likes as possible. Speaking of trophies though, Death Stranding is very generous with its trophies, and I'm actually shocked that so few people have the platinum. In total, it's like 60,000 people split between the PS4 and PS5 versions, which is quite a lot. But those are rookie numbers when you look at the player count. Honestly, I think we have to plump those numbers up. If you have the game, get back on it, get that platinum trophy. Getting to the wind farm can be a bit tricky though, because we need to go down the side of a cliff. We could go around and take things slow, or we could use that climbing anchor that the Google 8 left us. Climbing anchors make going down cliffs and crossing rivers so much easier. Although ladders and climbing anchors are going to be the extent of our building capabilities, and spoiler alert, this is the first and last time I ever used a climbing anchor. If you've played the game before, you'll know the feeling of getting your roads finished, and more importantly, getting a good zipline network together. That's probably the best feeling in the whole game, to be honest. To have every location linked up with perfect connections, every delivery being made all in one swift trip between the lines. That's so good, but unfortunately that's not going to be happening here. On the way to deliver Seba Teresi's cargo, we picked up some more lost cargo. Rajma Rice, Didi Proust and Maddest Gamer 07, your packages were taken care of. In Death Stranding, people are constantly losing their stuff, and the further you get into the game, the worse it gets. Because right after delivering those packages, I ended up finding Dragonfire 96, Ryuki Fam, Sub-Zero UK 89, Mondi VX, Quaint Sun 95, DH Arthur's 458, and Myriad Colours' lost cargo. Yeah, as I say, it only gets worse. On the plus side though, I did find some booties from Toy Q8. Boots are some of the most important pieces of gear in the whole game, so we'll be walking in a lot of other people's shoes. Our final task for this area is to deliver packages full of splotch. We have to get them through a big BT area, and if these guys catch us, then the babies will never be born. But I used to be a milkman's apprentice. Stealthily delivering the cream is my forte. Turns out though that Troy Baker wanted all that splodge for himself, so he decided to disintegrate Fragile. He then summoned some kind of oil-rich horror. But when the oil starts to come, so do our online friends. Our heroes, bathed in white. These are online spirits and they pop out of the goo and throw things for us to use. The most crucial things being hematic grenades and blood packs. These things work in tandem because the hematic grenades use Sam's blood, so we lose health every time we throw them. I also got thrown some EX grenades number 2, and these things are full of shit. I mean, actually, they are made of Sam's poo. That wasn't a joke earlier, it's a real game mechanic. You make grenades out of Sam's poo, and people online can throw you their own poo. This game's amazing. Although, saying that, the poo nades don't do any damage to BTs. All they do is make them slow down. which does make it easier for us to land attacks or get away from them. Obviously, running around in oil makes movement quite tricky, so the poo slowdown debuff evens the odds just a little bit. This fella takes quite a few blood grenades to take down, but we've got a lot of friends. However, saying that, there does appear to be a limit as to how many online people can help in one fight. So we need to be accurate, because if we start messing around and missing stuff, no more online people will appear and we'll have to reset. And the gear that they throw is seemingly random, so sometimes they're going to throw stuff that just won't help too much. Like RTX TTV, the absolute biggest shitter of all time. They threw 2 loads of shit grenades at me, one after the other. But they did also provide me with a box of blood grenades, so we had just enough to beat this beast. Eventually. Turns out that Fragile isn't that fragile and didn't actually end up getting turned into dust, which is nice because I quite like her. She invites us onto her ship and thus begins Chapter 3. The rest of the game takes place in a much bigger area, and this is when the game starts to really open up. Honestly, there's not really a great deal to show for a while, because Death Stranding isn't the kind of game where big things happen every few moments. It's the kind of thing where very small things happen over a very long sequence, and they might seem inconsequential at the time, until you look back and you realise that all those small things you've been doing have led you to where you are now. Everything you do just happens very slowly and gradually. It's probably why there's not a lot of challenge runs for this game, because there's not really a great deal of things you can do to limit yourself. Because ultimately, we still just have to get from A to B, and no matter how you do it, you are going to get there. But Death Stranding doesn't challenge your skill, it challenges your mind. I spent the next few hours linking everyone together and building up trust, and that unlocked us a load of cool new gear. I made sure to check all the public lockers, but sometimes there's just not really anything worth using. That's kinda just the nature of the beast when it comes to this challenge. Sometimes there's just nothing for us to take. But the best thing is when we unlock vehicles. People are always leaving vehicles out in the open or in the public garage, so thank you very much Assassin 88 1990. Your reverse strike, long range, was very useful. Other players had also been building roads in their game, so they've started to appear in ours as well, which is fantastic, but because we can't control which roads get made, it does mean that we'll be missing out on some of the more impactful ones for a while. And because the roads usually go over really harsh terrain, it means we're going to have to do all of this in a vehicle or on foot. Ideally in a vehicle, as long as they survive the journey. But I have to say, the whole online items and building thing, that's probably my favourite mechanic in the whole game. People have seamless influence over other people's world, and I think that's just an amazing concept. It's almost as brilliant as Higgs trying to trick Sam into delivering a nuke. He's not even sneaky about it, it's just labelled as a nuke in the menu, and the thing flashes when you have it on you. Higgs is such a weird dude. I love him. So, because I love him so much, I actually delivered his nuke. Sadly, it's not a secret scene or anything. I would have loved to have had some kind of special cutscene for this, but no. We have to nuke Oil Ocean Zone instead. Gotta do things the right way, apparently. On the plus side, we do get to see more of Fragile and learn about her story. I wonder if Troy actually licked Leia in this scene. I bet he did. I bet that weren't even in the script. Right after that, we get sucked and transported to World War I, starring oiled up Mads Mikkelsen. Something straight out of my dreams. Every so often we're going to get taken through war zones and we have to fight Clifford Unger. There's loads of weapons in these war zones, but unfortunately, none of them are online. These areas are completely disconnected. I picked up a bowler gun from a share locker, but unfortunately, the bowler doesn't affect the soldiers, and neither do our punchers. These guys just get straight back up. So what I had to do was reload an old save and check to see if anyone had left me a gun in the storage, which, sadly, they hadn't. Not to worry though, because we're going to use another online feature. Supply requests. In here, we can request any kind of gear we want, as long as we have it unlocked. So I requested our newly unlocked rifle, but this can take a long time because we are relying on some rando to see the request and then fulfill it. I actually waited 4 real-life days, and the order never got fulfilled. Fortunately for us, some legend called Klye happened to fulfill my supply request. Ideally, I don't want to have to rely on my Phantom, and this is the last time it'll happen, but supply requests just seem to be very rarely fulfilled. I suppose most people just build their own stuff, so I don't really blame anyone for not fulfilling the orders, but you know, it would have been nice. But now that we have a gun, we can take on Cliff. We don't have much ammo, so we have to just focus on Cliff himself and try and ignore the soldiers. All we have to do is sneak up on him and then blast all over his face. But because we can't hide anywhere, the soldiers are going to land some shots. Which did mean that I was on the verge of death quite a lot. Fortunately for us, I'd picked up some cryptobiotes from an online piss mushroom during our travels, so thanks to Blade Juana, I was able to keep my health topped up and take out Daddy Cliff. Right after that, we finally meet up with Mama. Mama is a very interesting and complex character. Well, saying that, everyone in this game is interesting and complex, but she is definitely up there. She has a dead baby who's a BT. The baby is still connected to her, so it doesn't try to summon the underworld to murder everyone. Well, at least not as often as the other ones. And that's just the least of her issues. After we travel up into the mountains and prep for the upcoming boss fight, we have to convince Lochner to join the UCA. Turns out that she's Mama's twin sister. So, after climbing up here, we have to go all the way back down the bloody mountain. Anyway, now that we're back down at Mama, she gives us a cuff upgrade that lets you cut the umbilical cords of BTs and it kills them for good. Which we won't be using because it's not an online item. The only time we are going to use it is when we free Mama from her BT baby. But when we free the baby, Mama starts to die and we have to take her to Lochner. But once again, Higgs shows up and he summons another BT for us to fight. Luckily for us, we've got so many connections now, and I was picking up all sorts of gear from the share lockers around the map, so I had plenty of stuff. Having hematic grenades and a rifle that shoots blood bullets made this so much easier. Of course, it helps to know when the boss fights are coming up, because if you didn't know, then you'd be completely unprepared, and that would probably be game over. Once that's done, we have to take Mama all the way from the bottom of the map up to the mountains. This is a very long journey, but the aptly named Mama Berserk had a long-range bike right outside of Mama's lab, so we can use that to drive all the way up to the mountains with no issues. Thanks for the help, Mama Berserk. I made sure they got every last thumbs up. Well, I did say no issues, but this is Death Stranding. There's always issues, because when we get to Lochner, Mama dies. So then Lochner absorbs Mama's soul and inherits the title of Big Mama. After BB pisses on Deadman and we have a shower together, we get sucked off to another war zone. This time it's World War II, but the strat always stays the same. Find Cliff, shoot Cliff. I got very lucky and found a level 3 rifle and a handful of blood bags before coming here, but it was a non-lethal rifle, so I had to use the blood bullets. These combat sections are always a little bit tense and it's really easy to die, mostly because you're using your own health to deal damage, and if we run out of ammo or blood, then it's donezo. As you can see, it got very close because I was running very low on blood and bullets. But thankfully, I did have some cryptobiotes stored away, and that gave me just enough health to finish off Cliff. What's not so great is that once we do that, we lose all of our gear, which means we're going to have to keep looking in more share lockers to try and find all new stuff. And while we do that, we've also got to take Mama's corpse up to Hartman. But once again, our good friend Mama Berserk came in clutch and we got their bike, again. And that made the trip to Hartman so much quicker. Hartman is another very interesting character. This guy dies every 21 minutes and he has to wait to get defibbed so he can revive. This game's amazing. Anyway, we need to link up some bunkers in the mountains, but vehicles aren't really good up here because the snow degrades them really quick, and we're going to be carrying a bomb. So we're better off on foot. Too many bumps and vibrations and this thing goes boom. But that's alright, because Prost Lolschik left us an all-terrain skeleton in Hartman's share locker, which makes mountain climbing so much easier. And Gwillem53 left us a non-lethal rifle, which I'm sure will come in handy very soon. Before leaving the bike behind though, I made sure that Mama Berserk got as many as my thumbs as possible. They've been a huge help. And with that all-terrain skeleton and bomb on our back, it's off into the mountains we go. The trickiest section here is going down into the gassy hole. I found a piss mushroom from Azure 91, which topped up our cryptobiotes, and crucially, a ladder from Doohid. Going down into a gassy hole can be a very quick game over because this gas knocks you out. You're supposed to use a gas mask or a sticky gun, But unfortunately, nobody had left those for us to use, so we're just going to have to hold our breath and make a run for it. But thanks to Dewhid, I was able to quickly climb down using the ladder, collect all the stuff, and then get out right before the gas knocked me out. There was also a bike down here from RF Being. It's a bit stuck, so that's probably why it was lost. But if you boost, pop a quick wheelie and then jump, you can get some pretty good height. I actually decided to keep the bike for a bit as well because we're going to be travelling out of the mountains soon and we won't be carrying any explosives, so we can be a bit more rough. And we can also do some sick tricks using Xiao Xiao 10101's ramp. Our last big mission here is to deliver a load of construction material and repair the Klye Bridge. It's quite far away and the cargo is incredibly heavy. My shoes were shitted and the only vehicles I had were on their last legs because of the snow. So I thanked them for their services and I fully expected I'd just get to ride them one last time for maybe a minute or two before it died, and then I'd have to do the rest of the journey on foot and with no shoes. Fortunately for us, however, just outside of Hartman's lab, It's a Vibe Thang put down a private room, and this was a godsend. We can use this to repair Mama Berserk's bike, get some rest, drink all the drinks and scoff all their crypto biotes. Absolute legend. That made the journey to the tar belt so much easier. Without It's a Vibe Thang, I would have been in a very bad position. Of course, not to mention Mama Berserk's bike as well. Without that, this journey would have taken hours. After we deliver the materials, we have to cross the tar belt. But there's a big boss fight coming up soon, so I had a look around for anything worthwhile, and sadly, there wasn't really anything of use. So I just had to summon the whales and then run across the tar. It's not a difficult thing by any means, you just have to run on the buildings and avoid the whales, and of course the random bits of debris that bonk you on the noggin. I think that's probably the biggest threat to look out for. But once we make it to Amelie and drown, conveniently we wake up right outside our destination. And my rifle may have survived the journey, but my shoes, they didn't. After connecting the distro center though, I had a look in the share locker, and lo and behold, 2 pairs of booties. Level 2 boots from Luis FBA01 and level 3 boots from Evgen K19. Along with a hermetic grenade from Sarp Ademir. Incredibly useful stuff, but we're going to need more than that. After slipping past a road full of BTs, we deliver the network key, which appears to just be a bridge baby. Which is a little bit of a dark revelation to find out that this whole network is built on the corpses of babies. To be honest, I'd probably sacrifice an unborn baby to get a better internet connection as well, so I don't blame him. Anyway, this is where that big boss fight comes in, and if we're not ready, this is going to be really rough. So, as always, I checked the public storage, and absolutely fuck all. That didn't bode very well. Because the next boss fight is the Goatsy BT. Along with Higgs, he likes to get in there as well. I only had an assault rifle and 1 box of blood grenades from earlier, so obviously this fight didn't start off particularly well. But remember, this is a BT boss fight, so we get the online ghosts who can throw some gear. It's tricky to give everyone likes in this kind of situation, but I tried. Merkham 1980s gear was good enough to get us into phase 2. It's always nice when a ghost who can throw random things ends up giving you actually decent stuff. You know, unlike JP04VG who threw down 2 skeletons. Although to be fair, they did give us a blood bag as well, so I can't complain too much. Skeletons do have their uses of course, but when you're in a fight like this, you're kinda looking for big guns. And speaking of needing bigger guns, Toffy threw us down an anti-BT handgun, and Blacks1316 gave us a grenade launcher. The charge attack on the anti-BT handgun does big damage, but it also drains a lot of health. All of my blood bags were being run dry here, but that massive health bar of his is going down. Towards the end, I actually almost ran out of blood completely, but those crypto biotes from the gassy hole were still in our pocket. So, after a quick munch, we can finish off the Goatsy with our grenade launcher. This was actually really lucky, because if I didn't pick up those crypto biotes from earlier, this fight would have been impossible. It seemed like I'd hit the spirit limit and no more ghosts were spawning in, so if I'd run out of blood there, I would have had to restart. Higgs then gives Amelie a quick spank, shoots BB's tank, and then he shoots Sam. But Sam is what's known as a re-lali-lule-lo, which means he can't actually die. We just get put into the underwater world. Down in the depths we can find other people who've died nearby, and if we touch them, we can connect with that person and then get some gear when we revive. It's a good way to get some random stuff and make more connections, but it's probably the least reliable one. BB moons us, gives us a quick thumbs up, and then we're back from the brink of death. The person we connected to, Wave249289, dropped us a carrier, and if we were playing properly, this would actually be kinda useful, but not so much in this situation. I had a quick run around to restock all my crypto buyouts because for some reason over here, this area was just covered in piss mushrooms, which is great for us. But all the gear we just picked up is going to be left behind because we need to teleport away, and when you do that, all your stuff gets put in a private locker. But if it's in my private locker, then it's not really doing much, so I decided to donate all of that gear into the public locker for someone else to use in their boss fight. And that's what should be done. If you've got any spare stuff, give it to someone else. You never know if they might need it. Right then, we contact Fragile and ask her to jump us to the beach, and with a little poof, we teleport there, and we have to have a good old-fashioned boss fight against Higgs. Because we're on the beach, that means we can't revive, we can't get any online help, and we can't use any weapons. We have to remember the basics of CQC. Higgs is a little cheeky twat and he uses guns and grenades, and all we have are our fists. Well, of course we also have the rope and the cargo that's strewn around the area, but they aren't online items, so I can't use them. What I can use is the Sam Slam. Troy can take a good fist in, I'll give him that, but after a few knocks, he drops his gun and goes into phase 2. In this phase, he can easily hit us with the Nothing Personnel Kid and then just teleport kill us, but it's also possible to keep him stuck in a loop and just ram Sam into this man. After Troy gets enough of our body, we move on to phase 3, where it really does become a game, health bars and all. It's just down to dodging his attacks and landing our own. Very reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid 4. Especially when we nut him in the face. But Sam promised Fragile he wouldn't kill Higgs, so we have to drag him away and leave Fragile to do whatever it is she wants to do with him. I assume she just painted his face and then gifted him an electric guitar. But just because Higgs is down doesn't mean that it's over. Not yet. It's not over yet. We still have a cliff to conquer. To do that, we need to travel all the way back to the start of this area, which sounds like it's going to be a bit of a pain in the arse. And yes, it kind of is. But our old friend Mama Berserk is always here for us. And while we're riding back to the start, since we have no other goals, it's the perfect time to deliver any more lost cargo and scrounge up some gear from the shared storage. Our final suck is when we get taken to Vietnam. I think it's safe to say that we're ready for him this time. It's a bit of a shame that you can't see the names of the people who gifted you stuff once it becomes yours. I wanted to thank all the people who gave me stuff. Although it turns out that we only really needed the level 3 rifle with the normal bullets. It has a suppressor on it and this area has loads of tall grass, so we can do the whole boss fight in complete stealth. And because we have normal bullets, it means that shooting the gun won't drain any health. The level 3 rifle and stealth combo was so strong that I didn't need any other weapons. I may have gone into that boss fight a little bit over prepared. Cliff realises who Sam Porter Bridges actually is, and he stops his warpath. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he joins his wife in the afterlife. We then get the revelation that Amelie is the cause of the Death Stranding, and she intends on ending the world. But before we can stop that, we have one last big BT to fight. So, I had a little look in Hosterland's postbox, and they left a level 2 anti-BT handgun and a blood bag. I also had a little peep in Direwolf's postbox, and they'd left behind 2 level 1 anti-BT handguns. At the way station, Shorts Mike left a level 2 rifle and Goldie Log left a grenade launcher. So yeah, we're going into this fight with quite a lot of gear, and we definitely need it, because this is the final boss, the Flying Whale. The grenade launcher is obviously a big damage dealer, but the level 2 anti-BT handgun was insanely good. So this fight went a lot better than I was expecting it to. I mostly just stood on the rooftop and unloaded into the whale. It still takes quite a long time because this thing has a massive health bar, but with all this stuff from generous people, it didn't take too long before I shot right down their throat and finished them off. Since I had so much stuff and we're about to lose it all again, I did the right thing and I donated them to the share locker. Although, looking back, maybe I should have put them in the way station before this area, so they could maybe use them in the boss fight and not just in general. Anyway, Fragile poofs us to the beach and we have to convince Amelie/Bridget to not destroy the world. And all it takes is a hug and some kind words, and she decides against it. Obviously there's a lot more going on here than just that, but there's plenty of smarter people out there who've explained the ins and outs of this game far better than I ever could. I'm just here to find out if we can beat Death Stranding using only the items that other people have built and left for us to use, and it turns out that the answer is yes. If you're lucky and you make enough connections, someone, somewhere, has made something for you to use. It might not always be good stuff, but you don't need a lot to beat this game. You only really need stuff for the bosses, but there is always going to be something left behind. And if all else fails, you've got the oily boys in the BT fight, and the bubble buddies in the spirit realm. There's always a load of shit for you to take. So let's have a look at the trophy tracker. Master Builder is at 2 out of 13. One of them was a sign and the other one was the Google 8's rope down at the wind farm. And Homo Faber is at 0 out of 108. Nothing built, nothing made, everything we used was given to us by other players. So if you're ever playing the game and you've got some spare gear, don't put it away for a rainy day, put it in the share locker. It might be better off in someone else's hands. I'm really excited to see what comes of Death Stranding 2. Kojima seems to be going all out on this one, and that's what I like to see. I'm not going to understand a single thing that happens in that one either, but I'm going to love it all the same. Although I do have one request. I hope that bodily excretion grenades make a return, and I want them to have a buff. All I want them to do is cause psychological damage to human enemies, because in Death Stranding 1, nobody cares about being shit on, and from my own personal experience, that's not very true to life. Thank you so much for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Please do leave a like if you like, and subscribe if you want to. Let me know any other fun challenge runs you'd like to see, and as always, take care.